This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, January 16th, 2018, episode 157. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig, at Nicholas M. Craig is my Twitter. InfectionPodcast.com is our website. Thanks so much for joining us here on a Tuesday evening. Joining me, recovering from his surgery, Brian with an I, Aldridge. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Doing very well, everybody. If you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, or you can, of course, go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Also, make sure you check out our website. We have infectionpodcast.com. On the right-hand side, we've got all of our links to our podcast, which is audio-only formats. We have a link to our YouTube channel. We have a link to our Twitch channel. And, of course, our Discord, which is a great place if you're looking to play some of the games that we talk about with other people. Also, if you want to submit a news story to us, just go on there to the news channel, put in a link if you want to put a comment on there as well. And then that way we take a look at that before we do the show notes to see if it's something that we can cover in the show. Also, we have on there a servers channel. So if we want to put in there what server addresses are on our custom server that we have links to directly connect to those for ARC and when we're doing the forest and Minecraft, things like that, so that you can quickly and easily connect right to our server. So it's a nice handy dandy tool. We switched over from TeamSpeak, I think it was a while ago, and we've been really happy ever since. Discord seems to work very well, and it's free.
I want to make the point that Brian and I tried switching the community over to Discord, and all hell broke loose. Yeah, we don't like that. It's like when we play over Unturned. Everybody bitches and complains. And then, like, I don't know, 6 months later, everybody's like, oh,
then
yeah,
it became cool.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to say that we were the OG podcast on Discord. We were the first podcast to use Discord.
The podcast hipsters.
I'm claiming it right here. First.
So, but yeah, so we've been on that, been happy with it. Once in a while, it'll get weird bugs or it'll crash or something like that, but it seems to be pretty consistent most of the time, especially for being free.
And the mobile app is free.
Yep. And they don't charge you, unlike TeamSpeak, they don't charge you for the mobile app.
$4.99 for some garbage app that was developed 6 years ago.
It barely works. Yep.
So, yes, Discord, which, by the way, they will eventually get purchased, and then it will cost money to use.
I wonder by who.
I don't know. Twitch would, if Twitch had any sense, they'd buy them.
I mean, Twitch wouldn't really... So yeah, Twitch wouldn't really charge any money. They have their app. I wonder if they try to roll it into their Twitch app somehow, which
it's the same thing. It's a straight ripoff of Discord. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they could pretty much merge those into one.
Blizzard, maybe. Some gaming companies.
Yeah, because
some gaming company, somebody that wants the user. See, that's the key here. And this is the thing with all of these. You see these social medias, social networks, smartphone. Trivia HQ is a great example of this. It's a really popular app on iOS. Millions of people tune in live to watch a trivia game. It's not the money, it's the users. And Discord's got the users. Yeah. Everybody uses Discord. If you play video games on PC, you use Discord or have used Discord at some point or another. It's just what everybody's using now. So
I just think that Twitch could kind of merge it into that product and just, because people aren't really using the curse version, which is the Twitch version of the app.
It's a joke
for all that it's supposed to do. So they could kind of roll it in and say, all right, this is now a feature of this, and maybe they'd get more installs. Maybe they get people using some of the other features that are of their Twitch app.
Yeah, or if they had,
you can use it to install mods and update mods. I mean, that's the main thing that I use it for.
Yeah. Now, if they had any real sense, they'd roll that functionality into the Discord name and keep Discord as its own thing. But nevertheless, Discord. You can join that on our website, infectionpodcast.com, along with all the other things Brian mentioned. Well, Brian, how if you want to just touch on it quickly, how'd your surgery go? I know we talked about it last week, and I know I got a couple of emails, Brian, people asking me, just pleading with me to host the show alone this week. I got a lot of fan mail, letters sent to my mailbox, emails, tweets, some private messages on Facebook. A lot of people, a lot of the listeners we don't hear from, were coming out from under the carpet to to voice their opinion last week. So, how did your surgery go?
It went very well. There's been a minimal amount of pain. So, the first day, that of course, right after the surgery, was the most pain, but it wasn't unbearable, which is good. That feeling of pain of, man, it just won't go away. I was kind of worried that it would be like that, but most of the time, like, I don't need any painkiller. I don't need anything. And I can just pretty much relax my arm. I'm trying not to push it too hard because I don't want to start using it before it's time. So I try to just keep it in the sling and not cheat and like use it to grab something or do something. But the problem is, because it doesn't hurt very much, you're really tempted to just do little stuff with it. And I don't want to push it too hard and hurt myself. So, but the surgery itself went really well. He has pictures. He took pictures of that part of my arm inside.
Oh, cool.
That my wife has. So it showed where the suture is, like where they actually sewed it up. And they went in and at like 3 points, like there's 3 cuts in me that they went in on. And then inside of there, I guess, because he said he can tell I'm pretty aggressive at hockey, because there's like fray marks around it, like parts that aren't the rip, but like because of repeated use, and movements from hockey on that shoulder, there's like fray marks on my labrum. So I just have to be careful. He doesn't want me playing hockey anymore. He's like, but I know you're not going to listen to that. So he's like, you got to just tone it down.
Yeah. So it's weird. Brian is a very timid person. I would imagine you are a BAMF when it comes to playing hockey, though.
I just like, I don't know. The thing is I'll give it everything that I have.
Yeah.
And I'll push myself as hard as I can, and like I'll just try to make as many shots as possible. So the thing is I just need to kind of relax. But I have since my surgery, my injury, of course, like I've had to dial it back anyways. But a big thing is I used to do competitive travel hockey like 5 or 6 years ago, to where we were practicing 3 times a week, and then playing full weekends where we'd have like 5 games in a weekend in a row. So that, like, I was pushing myself really hard back then. And I think that's where a lot of those injuries are from. And I don't do that anymore. So I think that's what he's saying is scarring from me pushing my arm to the point of where like my arm would just give out. Like that's how much hockey I was playing. So I think now I've already mellowed out. He just doesn't realize that, those are all old.
Gotcha.
All the scarring. So we'll see.
Well, that's.
I'm going to try not to hurt myself again. So
that would be good. Well, of course.
The goal in life.
Yeah, the goal in life. Yeah. Oh, try not to hurt myself. Well, appreciate you being here, Brian. And I know, obviously, I loaded up the notes this afternoon, and I was expecting. I mean, Brian, you do a hell of a job on the notes every week. I mean, honest, for people that don't know, I do.
Thank you.
Hardly any prep, and when I say prep, it's not. I read through the notes, but I don't really compile the notes. That's the role that Brian has taken. I'm not very good at that. So I expected to look at the notes this week, and I'm expecting them not to be quite so full. I loaded up; it's over a page. All typed with your left hand. How long did it take you to do the show notes?
Probably about an hour.
How long does it normally take you?
Probably about half an hour. I mean, it's pretty much just. I mean, I can type pretty fast with my left hand. It's just, you just have to. I don't know. Like, and then I'm switching back and forth, copying and pasting. Because I'm really used to doing highlight, Control C, Control V, like doing that stuff really quick.
Yeah.
And with one hand, that just doesn't happen like that. So you're highlighting it, and then you're switching hands. It's just. Now, that's the main thing.
Have you thought about getting a left-handed mouse with buttons on the side that you can macro? Like my mouse, obviously I've got a Naga. I wouldn't recommend that because you have to buy a left-handed version, and it's like $100. But I like my 1 and 2 on the Naga are Control C, Control V, and then 3 is enter or something like that. So I can copy, paste, and then enter without moving my hand.
I think in about here in about 1 to 2 weeks, I'll probably be able to use my right hand enough to use a mouse.
Ah, okay. Well, then
I think at that point I'll be good. Like right now, I'm trying not to use it, but I'm doing the physical therapy where it's kind of rotating my arm around a little bit, and I'm getting a little bit of movement. So once I talk to the doctor, I mean, worst case, I could get a little trackball.
Hell
that would be really easy. Like a little trackball, because then I could just use my fingers to move it around.
Get an IBM ThinkPad, use the little nipple, and you could use that to to browse your way around the internet. Whatever they call that stupid.
I do have one that's like a thumb mouse. I don't know, but it's at my Kiwanis group in the computer bag for that. But it's like made for presentations, but it's got a little roller ball on like a thing you hold in your hand. I mean, it'd be perfect for what I'm dealing with right now.
Sitting back here cruising with your mouse.
Yeah, I'm cruising the internet.
Wow, check out all these memes. Yeah,
that'd be great.
That'd be funny. So, well, Brian, of course, we're happy everything went well. Brian's a trooper, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you this. Like 3 days after this surgery, he's like in Discord, like shooting the shit. If this were me, I'd be milking it. Milking the surgery, milking it for all it's worth. And Brian, not so much.
I'm kind of weak to talk right now, but
yeah, exactly. That's the kind of that's exactly. I'm very dramatic. There's a word for that. I don't remember the word, but yes, I would absolutely milk that. So
yeah,
to each their own. Well, we played Unturned, and by I say we, I mean myself, Joe, and Deacon. We played on the. Oh, I forgot the name of the map. The Greece. Played on the Greek map, Greece. And
yeah,
how was it? So, as always, Unturned is a lot of fun, even though it's not what you'd expect. Oh, I forgot. Sereth was there too. I forgot about. Sorry. I forgot about that. He popped in towards the end.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry. He popped in my defense, not his defense. I don't care about it. In my defense, he did show up right at the end before we switched over to PUBG. So we played for maybe an hour and a half. We all got together at one point. We were hanging out. We got some guns. Joe had a chainsaw. We were killing zombies. A lot of I killed a guy randomly on the side of the road because that's what people were doing to me. It was fun. Enjoyed it. Wish we had a couple more players. I think it would have been better. And we played right as an update was rolling out. Oh yeah, DV out a fishing pole, which was all you can fish in the game, Brian. You literally cast out the fishing line, and there's a bobber for anybody that's fished. The bobber sits on top of the water, and when the bobber gets pulled down, you reel it back. You hear the whole noise, and then it puts fish in your inventory. It's the coolest thing in the world.
That's the thing about Unturned is there's so many features in there. As far as features, it's feature rich. It may not have the best graphics, but there's so many different things you can do, and there's so much stuff in there. I mean, vehicles and planes and just tons of there's so much to it. It's pretty amazing. I think if he continues, like he's talking about upgrading to the new engine, and then, he may increase the graphics a little bit, but I think that if he can kind of continue it on and make a generation 2 of this game, generation 3, and like keep adding features to it, it'd be a pretty incredible game eventually.
I mean, honestly, he should charge for it. Charge like $20 for the next version of Unturned. I don't know how you can do that on Steam. If you can re-release, or you have to do it as a whole new game. But I mean, it would be worth, with the updated graphics, it'd probably be worth the full price. Honestly, God, I think it's worth paying for now. Again, not the graphics, nothing else. It is there is so much to do in that game. On face value, doesn't work. They're reading a book by judging a book by its cover. Doesn't work. You get into that game, there's so much cool stuff to do. We had a really good time playing it. Unfortunately, what I was saying, the servers were just updated, so there was like 9 servers that were running the latest version. So we were very, very limited on what we could play on. But we found a map on Greece. As always, zombies are incredibly hard to kill. That has not changed. I'm not surprised it hasn't, but that hasn't changed. Trying to think what else. I think that was about it. And then we went and played some PUBG. Got a nice first place win in squad, and I believe that about did Friday night, which was a lot of fun. So I want to thank Joe, Sirth, and Deacon, of course, for coming out and playing that. We had a great time. And coming up for the next couple weeks, probably the next 2 or 3 weeks, tabletop. We're going to play some tabletop simulator. As always, there's a chance I won't be around this Friday. I was supposed to travel tomorrow, but there's going to be some bad weather, so I may have to travel Friday instead. So tabletop this Friday, tabletop next Friday, so Brian can jump into those while he is unable to, obviously. As we said last week, Brian needs to get some type of voice dictation so he can scream W at his computer to
yeah.
S. So he can scream at his computer to move back and forth. Like I would love to see I'd love to see you mining in Minecraft with voice commands. You want to talk about the most rage-inducing thing? Voice commands.
One thing this week I've been using that Steam Link.
Coolest thing in the world.
And so I have an Xbox 360 controller, and I have some use of my fingers. So I jumped into Minecraft, and it worked. Like I was able to kind of walk around and do stuff. I mean, it was frustrating because when you're used to being able to use a keyboard and mouse and do things quickly, but for what it is, one nice thing about the Steam Link is it allows you to go through and pick kind of controller presets.
Yep.
So if you pick a game, if somebody's already gone and made, here's the presets for controller buttons that we recommend, you can browse through those, see which ones have the most votes, positive votes, and then you can choose. And so there's one that had the most votes for Minecraft, and it did most of the things that I wanted it to do. I ran around, I saw Nick's base and just kind of saw how it worked, and it worked. I mean, it did everything, and the right knob can be the equivalent to a mouse. So you still have the ability to go click things and move them around. So worked very well. And I've had my wife playing, what game? She's been playing a couple games on there, but like Thomas is Alone and just some games that I have on my PC that we don't have on console, and they play for her. To her, it feels just like the PS4 does. I mean, it's identical.
And I've said this
she's been really happy with it.
I've said this for a while now, and I would imagine you would concur with this, Brian. If you can get a Steam Link on sale, full price, I don't think it's worth it because you really don't play it enough. You obviously are now, but
you could.
Yeah, but I mean, you've had this for years, and you haven't used it until now. And then I've got one that's sitting in a box. I haven't done anything with it since I moved. And even when I was in New York, I mean, I'd very rarely play it with my girlfriend. Like I may be able to count on two hands how many times I use the Steam Link. And I use it a lot to test stuff. Like I played Battlefield 1 on it once to test if that would work through the Steam launcher, and it did. But other than that, if you can get it on sale, highly, highly, highly recommend it because
they sell it for practically nothing. I mean, you're paying for shipping.
Yes, it was
to kind of make up for some of the cost.
It was $5 during the winter sale. $5.
It's definitely worth it. You could use it. You can remote control any application. So if you add even an application, not just a game, to your Steam library, you can launch it from the Steam Link, and you can remote control your desktop using. I mean, if you wanted to use Word, and use a keyboard and mouse from your, and remotely control it from your living room or something, you could do that.
It will.
It will do whatever you want.
It'll do almost anything. If you like say, oh, how do I play? You were thinking, oh, how do I do this on the Steam Link? Just you search for it on Google, and somebody has been like, okay, you have to set these parameters for the law, yada yada yada. People have already tried it. Yep. I know I tried Battlefield. I didn't try Minecraft because I have that on the console. But I'm glad that worked out for you. It's a. Well,
I mean, that's the thing. You can plug a keyboard and mouse. I have a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse up there now. So
okay.
Once my arm is better, like I can use it to play other games as well, just like as if I was, and not have to be back here. So,
well, very cool.
Definitely cool.
If you can get one of those on sale, highly, highly recommend it. Let's see, how much are they on Amazon? They they're only $28 on Amazon right now. Shit, this is totally worth $28.
Yeah, because they're selling them for $50 on $50 on Steam. So
interesting. Well, if you are
on sale, once it goes on sale, it gets a lot cheaper. I've heard the controllers aren't that good, so
Yeah,
the
that's
Steam
what I've
Link
heard.
controller don't do that. But
Well, here's
Yeah.
the other thing too, and let's say you've potentially we've got a whole bunch of news we'll get into, but if you've used this in the past and you had maybe a subpar experience, I would recommend that you try it again, because what Brian just described, being able to open anything remotely, was not my experience, and they've done constant software updates to this thing. Our buddy Landgun,
Yep.
Lance, bought this thing right when it came out with a Steam controller and said it was the biggest pile of garbage he's ever used. And at the time, going and back and looking at YouTube videos and forum posts and stuff like that, it was in fact a heaping pile of garbage. But since then, they have done so many upgrades to it that I remember he tried it probably 6 months ago when I said, "Hey man, plug this thing back in." And he's like, "Oh, this is great. This is so cool now. It actually works." So luckily with things like that, software
works
updates.
seamlessly with the controllers.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
So there you go. Steam Link, not a sponsor. Steam does not pay us
Yep.
to say these nice things about their products. They could, but they don't. But you can buy it on our Amazon link, link in the chat, and I'll put it in the show notes too. You can buy it on Amazon and support the program that way. Alrighty, we got some news. PUBG will be a good start here, and
Yes.
I played some PUBG this week. Haven't played it in a while. Played maybe 4 or 5 games. Really enjoyed it. I've had the PUBG itch. I might jump back on that tonight or tomorrow. That's the one thing about this game. When you'll get into it for a little while, a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, and then you snap out of it for a little while. But I really enjoyed playing it. Solid experience. Didn't deal with anything crazy. As I mentioned earlier, we won a full game. I mean, I got the game-winning kill. Just saying. So let's jump into some PUBG news here. This is a PC 1.0 update, and this is BP compensation. What they're talking about, their battle point compensation. We're just going to mention this. They mentioned this last week. They're giving you on test server. They're getting you, or if you logged in, you were getting like 6 crates or something like that. So if you want to go through and read all of the actual how they're fixing the compensation for the battle points, you can go ahead and do that. There'll be a link in the show notes for that. Just wanted to mention that they're doing that. And we did actually have a big update for the Xbox, as they're trying to, I think, pull these versions as close together as possible. So a couple of updates here. This is for the Xbox. This is the 4th update they've done, which is quite amazing. This has been out now probably a month and a half, and they've done 4 updates. So a couple things here. First off, gameplay. The pistols have been removed from the Y button's weapon rotation and grouped in with melee weapons, which makes sense. Y is the button that you use to rotate through the weapons on the console, or on the Xbox, I should say. And then players can now equip pistols by pressing up on the D-pad. Couple of optimization thing, trying to fix rubber banding as they do, and enhancing server performance with parachuting. Now, it's funny to read, as I read through these before the show, funny to read through these because the things that they're fixing, like the server, everybody remembers that played PUBG, how awful parachuting used to be. Like 3 frames a second, laggy, glitchy, rubber bandy. You couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. It's funny to see those same issues now manifest on the Xbox version, things that have been fixed on the PC for, at this point, months. So they're trying to update that.
And I wonder at what point they split, because they probably took their code at one point and said, all right, here's the one we're branching off for the Xbox version. Here's our PC version. And probably some of these things were fixed after that. So maybe they have the understanding of how they fixed it for the PC, and they're just going through and actually having to do the footwork of getting it patched.
And it's probably
I would assume that's what they're doing.
It's that, and I would imagine there's some differences in how the servers act, because the servers for the PC version are on AWS right now. The servers for Xbox are on Azure, and the PC servers are moving to Azure. But as of right now, I believe they're still on AWS. So there's some difference in the two servers right now. So there may be some other things, but no, I agree with you. This at one point was one branch. These are one things they forked off into 2 separate branches, and they've gone from there. A couple of option things they've added a new controller preset to the options menu. Type B new preset now supports holding LT to aim down the sights, holding LB, the left bumper, to use third-person perspective aim sight, and the controller guide has been updated to include a new controller preset. So the graphic now shows it, and those are some of the new options. Just a couple of quick bug fixes in here. Fixed an issue where players repositioned out of the battleground after certain actions and remained invulnerable until the end of the match. So you essentially would win because you're invulnerable and wouldn't die. The gas wouldn't kill you, which what happens right now is when, at least on the PC, we tested this. Brian had this issue a couple months ago. He like was glitched out. When the gas got to him, it did eventually kill him. In this case, you're invulnerable. It does not kill you. So that's fixed. Additional memory and non-memory related crash fixes, and then fixed the inability to join duo/squad through invites outside of the game. So an Xbox invite, you could potentially run into an issue with that.
Yeah, clicking a notification and then trying to launch into the game itself.
Exactly, similar to how you invite somebody on Steam. A couple of known issues that are going to be addressing in the next patch, presumably update number 5. Dropping objects causes the players to switch weapons, and users are unable to switch grenade types when tapping right on the D-pad. So a couple of things here that they're working on. Still have not had a chance to get the Xbox version. I've reached out, have not heard back of Xbox version of the game. I probably need to try a little bit harder. So that's how that's how they're doing on the Xbox. I've been talking to a friend that's been playing it, has never played it on PC, and he's addicted to it. So It can't be that bad. Now what I did hear from, and this is interesting, we talked about this, Brian, aim assist.
Yes.
It is much harder on a console to aim. That's why games like Call of Duty and Battlefield on the console, and I don't think Battlefield on the PC, but Battlefield on the console have aim assist. Now, people on the PC community like to aim assist. If you've used a console controller enough, you understand how important aim assist is, because your actions are not so precise. On a mouse and keyboard, you've got, first of all, your movement is controlled by physical buttons, not radials. It's not a 360-degree controller. And your mouse pad is a large surface area. When you come to the controller, you've got very, very limited. You've got very, very limited movement. I mean, obviously everybody knows what a freaking controller looks like, but aiming, trying to snipe somebody with this, which is not precise. It's like, again, like I mentioned as I was joking with Brian, trying to browse the internet with an IBM little track thing in the middle. It's ridiculous. I want to click on the back button. You go forward, you go up, you go too high, you press down a little bit, you're below it, you press up again, you're a little too high. It's frustrating. And that's why they need aim assist. That's why they need aim assist on console. And they don't have it right now. And the problem with my friend who was playing it, he said, I just can't aim. It's not like I'm used to playing Call of Duty on the Xbox. I can't aim. It's so hard to aim in game, and that's going to be a problem if they try to introduce this dual what were they calling it? Dual server, having people cross-platform, people being able to play on both sides. That's going to be a tough thing to happen because on PC you have a much better advantage using a controller and mouse versus somebody with a mouse and keyboard than somebody using a controller. It's just not. It's not comparable. The controller is so inaccurate when you move the joystick around. So inaccurate. It just makes it really, really hard to try to aim and stuff.
Well, that's the thing is, Laura was playing that. There's that game called Getting Over It. Okay. It was actually a gift. It was from Stairwave. It's a game where it's only one. He's like, here's a controller. Here's the game you can play with one arm. and it's one where you have to like move and like try to get over things, and all you have is this tool. And so Laura was playing it over the Steam Link, and so she's using a controller when I think it was made for a mouse. Because like you're supposed to be able to do like quick movements or something, and she's gotten pretty far with using a controller, and I didn't have the heart to tell her, well, it's actually made for a mouse, using a mouse on it. It's probably a lot easier with a mouse because she's like, as Ross is saying, it's rage inducing.
Oh yeah, like the Impossible game.
She said, tell your friend that he is a jerk for getting you this game.
Wow.
But she wouldn't stop playing it.
It's the Impossible game. It's the same thing. I got to look at my library. I got to look
you
at
sit
my,
there. It's really hard to play. But the thing is you just want to get past that next little section. And so she sat there and played it for like an hour or two yesterday. And she was having a good time, but it's just, as I said, rage inducing. And it would have probably been a lot easier with a mouse because the movements are made, you know, she was using the Xbox 360 knob that was acting like a mouse to do this.
Jesus.
Which it was funny.
Well, fortunately for you, she doesn't listen to the podcast, so she will never know that that's the way that the game is supposed to be played. So I believe that is all we got in PUBG. I'm gonna hopefully be jumping on that back on that here, maybe later. Probably not tonight, but it'll probably be tomorrow. And getting on PUBG.
Well, and they said that for the people that didn't get, because it didn't award those points properly. Yeah. So the people that didn't get those points, that they are going to have a way. Let's see. It says we are compensating you for this loss. So the battle points are given out to users all around the world. So it might not be received right away after clicking on the pop-up informing you about your compensation. So they'll have something pop up in the game to get you those points that you didn't get. So
there you go.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, not a whole lot with PUBG this week.
So I don't know if you want to. We'll do ARC really quick since it will take 1 minute. There's one patch on ARC this week. Yep, 276.42. This was on the 10th, so 6 days ago. They did a fix where aberration fixed an issue with power nodes not recharging when it's stasised, and then fixed an issue with Queen Bee, and that required a server restart. And that was the only update, which I'm kind of surprised. I don't know if they've actually fixed everything in aberration. They did pretty much last week. Almost all the patch notes were aberration, but that's all the patches for this week. So I don't know if they think everything is fixed, or I mean, it could be everything's running smoothly. Our server's been running smoothly.
It has.
So I don't know. That's it. That's it for ARC.
Well, that's ARC. That's quick. Shouldn't have even bothered putting the lower third up there. Now we do have some stuff out of H1Z1, and they did do one of their I don't remember what they call these things. They're
are you thinking H1Z1 Just Survive, or were you thinking the new H1Z1 King of the Kill?
No, this is the King of the Kill. They did a stream for the
community outbreak.
Yes, they did one of those things for the Z1 remaster. I watched almost all of it. And they just kind of go through, they call it gray box goodness, and they essentially are just going through with a developer or designer and just going through the map and showing showing how things work. You can go and watch it. There wasn't really anything. I mean, I don't think there was anything newsworthy. I kind of skipped through it.
Can you go back to that one screen where it showed the far out view, or what they're calling the gray box?
This one? Oh, the whole city.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, that'll work. So that's the original. I mean, pretty much the only thing I got out of it that they've been explaining is this is the original when they pieced together that this is around the parking garage area underneath the apartments in Pleasant Valley.
Yep.
This is that area. And so as you can see, it's tons of small pieces, which causes a lot of extra geometry to have to be informed to the client about the server and have to be rendered on the client. And so that's the original that they're working from. Incredibly inefficient, not made correctly at all. And so that's been most of what they're doing is going through and remaking a lot of these large structures that initially they just threw together just to make work. And I don't know, you can play through. I think they, right after this, showed the gray box version where they go through and pretty much redo all the geometry of this and make it so that it's down to, like, for, let's say, a parking area, that's one solid piece. So there you can see the outline
like that.
Okay. So now this is them taking that same thing and making the minimal amount of solid objects. So a long wall is just one square piece.
Yep.
And you can see there's just a lot less lines on there, edges on there, a lot less geometry, so that you don't get that lag spike, the frame drop, the second that you walk into the town. And this would be one of the causes of that. was just having so many small pieces pieced together to make this giant, what looks like a giant structure. So that's mainly what they're doing right now, is going through a lot of the points of interest and things that you see around the map and doing them correctly. Because as you could see with that, they did not do it correctly the first time. They took a lot of shortcuts to get it thrown together and just to make it work.
And here's the actual parking garage in game. What they were showing off, it's a little bit laggy. I think that's just their YouTube video. A guy can't even jump over the wall.
And this is the original, so that they still have to texture and do everything. But this is that one that you saw all the small pieces on.
Yep, you can see them all kind of clicking in too. How they load in.
Yep. And one thing they talked about in here is that they were having, sometimes you would see kind of a fluttering, or
here's the new one that you were.
Yeah, here's the gray box one. Yeah, because they haven't textured it yet.
Yeah.
They would talk about how sometimes you would kind of see two sets of textures on top of each other that would be flashing, or have a weird look to it. That's because they stack so many of those things together that they'd have a lot of overlapping areas.
It's like anti-aliasing, essentially.
So, yeah, it's kind of the two pieces like alternating which one's showing, because they're exactly stacked on top of each other.
And that's a big.
And so now this will not have that, because there shouldn't be things stacked on each other.
And that's anymore. A big issue in PC gaming in general. You'll notice this in a lot of games. If you depending on how you move your view angle to a certain spot, and you'll see two walls, the image is just kind of shuddering back and forth. It was very prominent in H1Z1, and it makes sense once you see this initial image. You can see how everything is.
Yep.
All of those things, if they're off by 1 pixel, if anything is off by a pixel,
something's overlapped and it'll cause that to happen.
Exactly. So. And there's a lot of overlapping here, just because you don't want to have any gaps. So luckily they've been able to go through and I don't think this was the fault of anybody. This is just this is probably how they thought at the time when they
prototype. I mean, they were wanting to get something put together to see if it would work.
And you got to remember,
now they have the time to go through and know they can put some time into each thing.
And you have to imagine something like this was probably generated in 2013 to 2014. So we're not talking about yesterday. And not that that's an excuse per se. But
technology's gotten better as well.
The technology's gotten better. How they want to, what they thought the game was going to be versus what it actually turned into, and resource. I mean, those are all things that probably were not thought about at the moment. I'm not excusing it, but they've at least identified the problem. And here's the thing. This Z1 thing out now is actually a little compelling. The fact that it's actually going to be a remaster of the thing, it's going to run better, it should be smoother, should be easier to play. I actually might be interested in something like that. When I heard Z1 remaster, I just thought them just retexturing all the same junk that was already in there. This takes a significant amount of time to do. This is a.
It sounds like they're going through and actually fixing the original map. Bingo. So, because there's something about having the comfort of knowing. There's kind of a curse to this. There's the comfort of knowing where everything is, like we did on the original map.
Yep.
But then there's also there's no surprises anymore. And I think that, once that surprises part lasts the first week or two, depending on how able you're to move around a map on different games. So it's nice to have something where you don't know where it is. We experienced that in Ark. But then once you know where everything is, there's the comfort of knowing, like, okay, I know exactly where I need to go, and I know exactly what I need to do, to maybe get some item, or to, go hunt down these people. And I think that people, once you learn the map, like, you enjoyed the comfort level that Z1 had. Like, you just, it's like, it feels like home to them, right?
Exactly.
Because they know where everything is. And I think that when you throw in all these maps that have a lot more variation to them, or, there's a lot more restrictions on where you can build, like, people feel like they're getting put into a little more of a cookie cutter, and less control. So I don't know. We'll see what they do with it. I think with this, they're definitely improving the performance, because they want this to run like the new maps. They want it to have the same performance. And they know they can't just load up the old map and have it run like the new ones do. You'll have the stuttering, and there's nothing they can do unless they go through and fix this stuff. So we'll see. I hope it works out. But you know, I'd rather see this on Just Survive than King of the Kill personally.
Okay, so
I mean, that if I'm going to go through, that's what I'd rather see it on.
it's so funny that you just said that, because I was just gonna mention about that. This is the way I see it. I think it. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Z1 is a better survival map than Z2. I think it's a better survival because there's less stuff. There's more open area, which in the survival game helps, because you can build bases and remember, the whole stronghold concept is donezo. That's gone. So now it's back to what it used to be. It was open area, build bases, connect platforms together, mega bases, water rate, doing all that crazy stuff that people used to do. We used to do. I would agree with you. Now, I think the better solution, Brian, is to get this done, set up, ready to go, tested, bug free, ship it in H1Z1 King of the Kill, and then bring it over to Just 5. Because the problem you're going to run into, like we used to see all the time, when they have to make a modification to the map, they've got to wipe the entire game. That's just the way it is. They have to wipe the map, because anything that they modify in the world could conflict with player-built structures. So I would imagine what we're going to see is this introduced into King of the Kill in a couple months. Play, tested, live.
See if people find places they can get under the map.
Exactly.
And, all those little silly things.
And I would imagine after some period of time after that, then we will see this ported over to Z1. We'll see H1Z1 Just Survive, that map ported over to that. And I would actually be interested in jumping back in something like that. Because
Do you think that they're... Because for so long they were pushing this, we're not connected, we're our own game, these two departments are totally separate, and now that they're pretty much dropping a lot of the uniqueness of Just Survive, like the whole strongholds and all this gear that could be leveled, you could get different ratings of gear, and there was this whole progression system. Do you think that they're gonna maybe kind of bring them closer together as far as how the games operate again? Because it seems like they're getting closer. It seems like they dropped a lot of the stuff that was making Just Survive unique compared to King of the Kill or H1Z1.
I don't know if they're necessarily going to bring them back together.
I don't know that, not saying one client, but
no, I'm not saying that
like
either.
They're making them closer to the same product again.
No, I didn't mean the same client.
One is a BR mode, and one is a survival mode, but they're not. It's not a bad word saying that they're the same game for the most part.
No, I do.
Because I'd rather have them working and do. They're not doing all this work separately between the two maps. Like they're not making a Just Survive version of this and then a H1Z1 version of this. I mean, that'd be stupid. They're doing the work once, the main part of the work of making all these points of interest once, and then they're gonna use it on both maps. So like they can't really say these are totally separate again, because they're not. I mean, it would be silly of them to make all this work twice. They're not doing that.
I think what we're going to see is the games start to kind of close back in towards each other. At one point we had literally two completely separate games. I think that's going to change. And once Z1 is out, the Z1 remaster is out and tested in both games, I think that's when you'll start to see the combining of the games again. Obviously, no, I'm not saying they're going to be in the same client. I hope they don't. But I think you'll start to see them kind of come back to.
But I think they'll say this is the H1Z1. This is the Z1 map. This is the Badwater Canyon map, and I think they should be happy to use all those different maps in the client now that they have the ability to swap between maps, right? And say, all right, we have a core set of maps. One of them is a BR mode that you play, and it has all its own rules and how it works.
Yep.
And the other one is a survival mode that you can choose between these different maps and accept the fact that we're doing the work once, but then we're going in afterwards and making it so one has loot spawns that are different and, has all the survival aspects to it. But I think that the rage and everything that was there before, is gone, and people are more accepting of the idea of them coming closer together and not saying, oh, this has to have its own map and this one has to have its own map, and don't let them combine at all. You know, we want something separate. I think they've gotten past that, and I hope they have, because I'm fine with them. I don't want them duplicating work and wasting work. I mean, that would be the biggest, most frustrating thing for me.
Here's the thing, and this is, I came to this conclusion probably earlier this week because I as stupid as it's going to sound, I'm always thinking about stuff like this because it's always just kind of, when I read something on even Discord conversations, read something on Reddit, my mind just starts ticking and I'm thinking of, how I can work this in something into the show. I think the only chance, and I'll throw that in quotes because I don't think this game will ever really succeed to the level of what they want. And just a quick note to everybody: PUBG is a really bad reference to use for success. That is what we would call an outlier. That is not normal. Yeah. Nothing about that is a normal game rollout. So saying, oh, H1Z1 is never going to be PUBG, yeah, and neither is 99% of the other PC games that come out over the next 12 months. That is at the next level of game. So do not use that as a benchmark, because we've never seen anything like PUBG. So to use it as a benchmark is stupid. But getting back to my point, the only way I see Just Survive and King of the Kill really working and being popular again is if they bring it back to where it used to be, because that's the only fun memory anybody had. Brian, I don't remember any fun in H1Z1 in the year 2016, in the year 2017. I don't remember anything. I don't remember anything fun in 2017. Now, we may have enjoyed some King of the Kill matches or stuff that we may have enjoyed when they did updates. I thought the whole Stronghold concept was going to be really cool. But in terms of like real fun gameplay, it didn't exist in 2017 for me. And I don't even think it existed in, when did we start the podcast? January of 2015 or 2016? I think it was 2015.
It would have been 2015.
Even in 2016, I don't remember having this maybe earlier in the year, but from halfway through June of 2016 until June of 2015. From June of 2016 to now, I don't remember having fun in either of those games. A prolonged amount of fun. So the only way that I can get back to the fun that I had, I think, and this is what Activision's doing with their Modern Warfare remaster, and they're bringing back the old maps and the old gameplay, is bringing it back to when people really enjoyed those games. They did it with Call of Duty, Call of Duty 4. Call of Duty 4 was a heaping pile of junk when it came out. Hackers, the guns were unbalanced, the game was trash, but a lot of people really enjoyed it. People my age, I was extremely young playing that game. I have very fond memories of that game. In retrospect, garbage. They released the remaster. Everybody goes nuts for it. The only way I see H1Z1, King of the Kill, and Just Survive getting back to that is if they bring people back to that stuff from, I don't know, June, July, August of 2015. When we were having those crazy clan battles, when people would show up to our base in 4 cars and start throwing IEDs down and nading, and we were we were respawning to beds constantly, and you'd have to keep 1 or 2 people alive at a time in the base to kind of hold it down so they couldn't blow down the doors. You have people sitting there with hammers hitting doors while they're trying to break them down. Bringing us back to that. That has not existed probably since early to middle of the 2016. They need to bring that back. That's the only shot. That's the only chance. Yep. They tried new with Strongholds.
If they can replicate that feeling,
yes.
And I think it'll be kind of a crapshoot whether or not they can. People may get back in there. It's the same thing. They're doing the exact same thing with WoW. If you look at WoW, was really popular back in 2005 time. That's when it really took off, and people, their positive thoughts about WoW were from those times. And so now everybody says, bring back vanilla servers, because everybody thinks that if you bring back the game that was at that exact time, that all of a sudden everything's going to be hunky-dory again.
It's not.
You know what? That's not how it works, though. The best thing that they can do is try to bring the current game to have maybe more of the mechanics, more of the feeling, bring back those things. But they think that just starting up one of those old servers and letting people play on that, people are going to complain. The content's never going to change. Like, you still have to progress. You have to keep on moving forward. And so I think if they can somehow get back, like find what brought the magic sauce to Z1, like find what it was that allowed us to play in that way. And I think that's the first step, is they're putting the map on there and seeing how much of it was the layout of the map and just that. And then I think after that, they're going to have to figure out, okay, well, have we added any mechanics? Have we taken away any mechanics that allowed people to play in that manner? And no, they may not be able to get back to the original feeling. We may have moved on as gamers and are not willing to play it in the same way anymore. So it may not work out in the end. Well, but I know they're going to try.
And the real problem here is that people don't understand that. Okay, people say, "Oh, WoW in 2005 was great. Bring back how the internet and WoW existed in 2005," and people would be like, "What in the hell am I?" 2005. Even the internet in 2005. I mean, YouTube didn't even exist. They didn't come around to what, 2006? YouTube didn't exist.
There's a reason there's not very many videos of people playing the original WoW, because people didn't have all the technology for streaming and things weren't being recorded. Like, it was a very different system back then.
And I just, people, and I fall into this too.
I don't think they can capture it again.
That's the key. That's the key here. It's more than just, and with H1Z1, it's the same thing. It's more than just the game. It's everything else that was surrounding it. Why? You know what? Another reason why, and Brian and I have to admit this, another reason why H1Z1 was really fun in the middle of 2015, because we were doing a podcast, Brian, and we had a crap ton of people listening to it. I think at one point we were getting thousands and thousands of downloads per episode. We were getting tens of thousands of downloads a month with H1Z1 because the game just came out. Everybody was talking about it. We were the only podcast doing it. But that was also part of the experience. Everybody was doing everything and playing everything for the first time. It was a different time. Yep. If you were to put that client out today, people would be showing up to the Daybreak
run around and say, like, what am I supposed to do now?
People would show up to the Daybreak headquarters and firebomb it. They would be so pissed off with the state of that game. Yeah. But it's more than just the game. It's everything associated with it. It's the people you played with. In our case, it's the podcast that we hosted. For some of you, it may be the podcast that you listen to. It's so many other things than just the actual game. And that's what's so tough.
And see, that's something I understand. I understand with, for instance, WoW, which is a very similar feeling. I understand that part of what made me enjoy it so much was the people that I played with and the experiences that we created together.
Yes.
You could put me back into that exact same client and I wouldn't be willing to put in the same amount of effort and all the same amount of things that I did back then to make it that enjoyable. I'd just be like, I'm not going to do that again.
And what? How old?
How
old
were
you?
People.
How old are you when you were playing this? You were in your what, mid-20s?
I was 25.
Yeah, you're in your mid-20s. What? You're a bachelor at that point, living on your own. Yep. Where were you working at that point? You working for the bank?
I had my own company.
Okay, so you had your company.
Nope. I had
presumably making a whole bunch of money. Bachelor, playing WoW all day. You couldn't do that now. You're married. You have 2 pigs, essentially kids. Like that's just not a thing.
That's the thing is I could go in there, but I don't want to go in there and play from 9 o'clock until 3 in the morning. Like, it's just, there's no draw for me to do that anymore. Like, I'd rather go hang out with my wife, go to bed. And so it's not that the game isn't right.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. I'm not willing to do it again.
Yeah.
Even though that's probably what I would have a blast doing it. I'm not willing to do that again.
Yeah,
and I don't know that everybody's willing to do what they did originally.
And they're not. And I had the same thing with Call of Duty when I was in middle school and high school, which is shocking. It wasn't that long ago. When a new Call of Duty would come out, I mean, my friends and I would we wouldn't go to school for a week. Brian, a week, 5 whole days. It wasn't 5 whole days. The game would come out on a Tuesday. So we wouldn't go to class for 4 days. It'd be Tuesday through the Friday we would not go to school, and then Saturday and Sunday the weekend. Every time, as long as I can remember, probably when I was in middle school, every time until maybe junior year of high school. That's just what you did, and your parents would get pissed off every year, and you just be no. This is what I'm doing. I did it last year. I did it 2 years ago, and I'm going to do it again. And we would play Xbox all day and all night, and do it again all day and all night for like 7 days. And then you'd be like, oh, that was fun. But I couldn't do that now. I wouldn't want to do that now.
But the thing is now you wouldn't like. That's the thing is you move on in what you find enjoyment in.
Yeah.
It just people change, and for me, like. I don't think I'd want to be staying up half the night trying to make sure, whether or not our base got rated.
And now here's the thing. It'd be fun to do every once in a while. It'd be fun to do once or a couple times. It'd be, you'd do it and you'd say, like, for example, when we did this last Call of Duty launch, that was the first time I've done that in a really long time. I slept for an hour and then went to work. I mean, I haven't done that in a very long time. So it was a rush. It was bringing me back to the olden days. But it's not the same experience, and it's good because it's not supposed to be. But for example, people always do this with these games. Oh, bring back the original. Bring back this. In retrospect, the original probably sucked in comparison to what you have now. It's your memories of what it was like versus the reality, which is nothing similar, not even close.
And for instance, EverQuest. I know they're not going to do this, but if they were to bring back EverQuest. Yeah. If they put the client out there that we played in 97, 98, people would look at it and say, this is the stupidest thing, or 98 or 99, whatever it was. This is the stupidest game ever. But they could go through and remaster it. Like if they remastered these games and gave them the new feel and new look and new mechanics, and said, hey, this is a remastered version of that old one, people would still play it. You get a lot of those people that, like me, like that was a time
Falcon's Watch.
They have those fond memories.
Yeah, Falcon would be a great example of that. He would love
they have those fond memories of it.
Yeah.
Star Wars Firebomb's bringing up Star Wars Galaxies. Like I remember playing that originally, and it was a lot of fun. But you wouldn't want to take that game and try to play it now because it would you would be looking and say, why did I ever enjoy this? Like they need to remaster these games and bring them back fixed with enhanced graphics so that people like us can enjoy the nostalgia of it, but we're not going to play it like we used to. I'm not going to play EverQuest for months and months and months. Like it's just not, it's done. Bring it back for a short period of time. But I think they bank off of that. Like in the mid 30s, like I am, that's the perfect time to bring back nostalgia items, because that's when people my age all of a sudden, now they have money.
Yeah, disposable income.
Or maybe they're home. Yeah, disposable income. Like that seems to be when they bring it back. Like you don't bring it back in the mid to late 20s because generally the people at that age don't have money yet, right? They're working on it.
Speak for yourself, Brian.
Okay, but they're getting money at that point. The nostalgia items.
No, you're interested in women and alcohol when you're in your mid 20s. That's what you're interested in. You're not interested in well, you're probably interested in video games too, but you're not interested in buying some crappy remaster.
No, but and so I'm at the age, we're starting to see remasters, but I don't ever see Daybreak going through and remastering any of those old games. I don't think I'd want to see it. Yeah. I'm fine with it not happening.
So in a very long, twisted route, we've made our way back to, I think if they if they make a really kick-ass Z1 remaster, I think that they could bring some people back, including myself, back to trying the game and seeing what that's like.
For periods of time.
Yes, periods of time, absolutely. Not permanently, but I'd be willing to play. I am not willing to play Just Survive right now. I'm not willing to play it. There's nothing compelling about it. So we'll jump into some Just Survive news here, but do we want to do a...
Yeah, let me go and let's go and do the game giveaway here really quick.
Okay.
So, I'm going to go ahead and get one started here. So this will be a 30 points. Sorry, you have to hit the right key. All right. So this is the exclamation point giveaway. This will be a 30-point raffle. And I'm going to be giving away, and this is actually from Bat Chain Puller, one of our listeners, viewers of the show. I'm going to be giving away a copy of Cursed Castilla, I assume it's the Spanish translation. Cursed Castilla EX and then I will put a link to it in our. Sorry, it takes me a second longer to do everything because I'm having to do this with one hand. But I'll put a copy of the Steam link page so you can go check out that. But this is a game that I think it's about $15. I'll have it clicked here in a second. All right. But this is a game that is very positive on the ratings, about $12 right now. It's an indie action adventure platformer retro game. So this will be giving away, exclamation point giveaway. But it's got pretty good ratings. Level Up gives it a 92. GameSpew gives it an 80. But it's one of those kind of aside. This would be really good for the Steam Link, actually.
Probably. You keep it for yourself.
Games like this. Yeah. Kind of the side scroller. Full controller support. So this would be a perfect type of game for a Steam Link.
And you said this was from our friend Bat Chain Puller?
Bat Chain Puller.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome.
So he donated that to the show. So thank you very much when people do that. It really helps us out.
We appreciate that. That's just one of the ways you can help support the program. We'll do this real quickly here. You can also do so a couple of other ways as well over on our website, infectionpodcast.com/support. You can head on over there. We've got our Amazon affiliate link where, for example, buy stuff like the Steam Link, and you can do that. We've got 7 different countries listed on here. You can do a direct donation. We're going to be coming back at you here hopefully in a couple of weeks with our PAX announcement. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do about that. So we'll come at you for that. Or Humble Bundle, which you guys have been eating up. You can do that as well. Click the red Humble Bundle link when you buy stuff, either monthly bundles, the Humble Bundles themselves, the week-long ones, or in the Humble store. We get kickback for all that stuff. So if you buy a game on Steam, if they're $19.99 on Steam or Humble Bundle, you can buy it on Humble Bundle and help support the program. InfectionPodcast.com /support.
Yeah, if you subscribe to the Humble Bundle monthly, we get a pretty decent kickback for that.
Yep.
So they're very good about what they give us in comparison to what it cost you. So I would encourage you, if you're interested, what's the game that they're going to be coming up on this next one? Civilization 6, I think?
It's Civ 6 with DLC, $12. Literally the best deal you're going to find, probably ever.
So if you're interested in that game, that's an excellent deal for Civ 6. And plus you'll get some games beyond that added to this pack. So if you go and subscribe with our link, we get a decent kickback for that. Plus you get Civ 6 for the best price that you're going to see it on the internet anywhere right now. So definitely worth it.
Absolutely. There you go. You got 16 days, infectionpodcast.com /support. Click the big red Humble Bundle icon and help support the program. We appreciate it always. Or of course, like Brian mentioned, giving a game to Brian to give away, like Bat Chain Puller did. Also, even people like as I was sitting here before the show, people like Nisco and Deacon, who put stuff in the news channel all the time. There's other people as well. PH throws stuff in there, putting stuff in the news channel so that we can reference it later on in the week when we go to compile the notes. All of those things you can do to help support the program. It doesn't have to be monetary. So you can do all that. infectionpodcast.com for all of that information. All right. Back on topic here. We do have some more H1Z1 news. This is some Just Survive talk. And we've got a test server update and a video that we'll show here in a minute. So this is a test server update. This was done on the 11th. So going in here, this update itself focused on bugs and fair play. And then I'll get to what they're announcing after this. So a couple of bug fixes and updates that they did. This is an interesting one. Players who log out on top of base foundations that they don't own, that you would have permissions for that foundation when you would log in near that base. So you could run into an issue where you were getting access to a base that you didn't own based on logging in and logging out. They said that that was a bug and that's been fixed. A couple of other things that they haven't stated yet. They're fixed a couple of exploits that they're going to announce when the patch goes live. So they're working on that. Fixed an issue where the banishes don't drop the warn letter on Baldwater Canyon. That's the new map correctly. Fixed an issue where placed base components would highlight under certain incorrect conditions. Fixed an issue where filling cabinets would not properly spawn loot. Fixed an issue where painting paintings couldn't be placed on some surfaces, and then updated anti-cheat countermeasures. Now, they've shown here, as what they've been talking about for a while now, is a content update for the building, and that is their stone walls. So what you're seeing in this video here is them placing a wooden wall with the wooden sliding gate, which is a really cool door, by the way. And then they're going to go through here, and he's going to place a deer head. He's going to rotate a deer head on the wall and go up here and upgrade it to metal. And you can see, obviously, it keeps the deer on the wall. He's going to open the gate, close the gate, and hopefully can... I don't think they transform that. But you can see here, placing the wooden door frame, placing the sliding door, putting something on top of it, and then upgrading it to metal, which will be the second of 3. Is this the second? No, is this the third? Is it wood, stone, metal?
No, yeah, it's wood and then concrete.
Okay, correct. So
and
this
then
is the third.
Metal. So, yeah. So they're just showing you jumping between the first and the third, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is the this is the third and final building component. Previously you had one. It was wood. Everything was built out of wood. Now you've got wood, concrete, and metal. I always screw up that order. So that's pretty big. Talking about it, as they say, or as we've teased before, our next major content update is that is in development will include stone construction, and then the larger update will also be looking at combat, raiding, loot balances, and a couple of other things that people have requested from the from either the Reddit or email, or however they take suggestions and stuff. So I think things are trending in the right direction for Just Survive, Brian. I don't really know for sure, but things appear to be trending in the right direction.
It's kind of hard to say. Just they've just gotta, because the thing is, they've been back and forth so much in the past year. Even, I mean, everything that they promised a year ago, right? It's been about a year. Now they've gone back on. So this is kind of like them starting over again. And I don't know for how many times this is that they've started over. They've done it a couple times now.
Yeah.
But I think if they can continue saying, all right, this is the direction we're going, and actually stick with it long enough for them to complete a few things and then start working on bringing back that player base, because they have, I mean, they've been, it's like they have ADD. They haven't been consistent long enough to give a reason for people to come back. Like, they have to have a track record of actually going through and getting stuff finished, putting content in for a long enough period of time to where there's a reason to come back. And hopefully this is the first step of that. Like, doing the different levels of base building, like, that's a big thing. That's actually an improvement on that system that everyone says they like so much before, but it doesn't break it. Like, it is an improvement upon that system, but it still will work in the same way. So that's what I'm hoping, that they can continue this to where we can go in, and because what was one of our biggest complaints was the amount we're getting rated. Like, constantly. It was impossible for us to keep a base and not have it rated constantly, and make it to where we can, if we're a big group of people that's willing to put in the time, and we can build a metal base that is difficult for people to raid, like that would be something that's worth it. We hit a point to where it didn't matter how big we made the base or what we did to the base. Like, there was just no way to protect it, no matter how many people or how much time we put into it. So I think that this is definitely a step in the right direction, and it will cater a little bit more to people that are willing to put the grind in and, get the metal together and put in the work. So it creates that level of separation between the two. So
I am hopeful. How about that? So maybe I think that's a proper word. I'm hopeful that they can figure something out here.
Yeah,
because they've got to.
I'm sure. I mean, with this new, at least with this, like, they have to focus on one thing long enough for Z1. They've got to at least focus enough to get Z1 done and not drastically change anything before that point. So we'll see. I mean, if they can get base building down, I know they're always working on hackers trying to get rid of as much of that threat as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But just get the loot spawns good. Give us a decent base building system. You know, that's pretty much what the old game was
Yeah.
looting and base building. I mean, whether it's not a ton else other than that we did. So I think that they're at least focusing on what are the main aspects of it.
Here's the thing. When you're this low, you can only go one direction. And I mean, I'm not trying to not trying to be a jerk or whatever. There really is only one way that this goes, and that's up. I mean, they are so low right now that
they're at rock bottom. So I mean, you know, the only place that you can go is up, other than them folding the game and saying, "All right, we're done developing it." Which I was kind of thinking maybe a couple months ago. You know, they were getting close to that point, but obviously, they feel like it's still worth pushing forward. I don't know how much money they're making out of Just Survive right now. I can't imagine they're making any money out of Just Survive at the moment.
No, I mean, they're not selling anything.
People aren't buying skins, really.
No,
I mean, not in major numbers. People aren't buying the game right now, so they must think that there's still something ahead, and it may be that they just want to get, you know, the skins market up again, get people playing to where they're making those nickel and dimes off of all the skins that are traded. I mean, that may be what they view as a successful Just Survive. I don't think that they're thinking that they're going to get hundreds of thousands of more sales again.
No, I mean, that ship is long.
I think that they're working on I think they're working the long game with the skins, and maybe it'll work out for them. I don't know if it's enough to keep a team of people hired working on it. But
I think it can be. I think it absolutely can be. Do we want to do our giveaway here?
All right, let's go ahead and roll for this. Let's see.
We are in the process.
I'm making sure it entered.
Okay.
I make sure that the people that entered are actually in there. Okay, good. All right, so we'll go ahead and close this. So are we? Is he good with this?
I would re-roll that.
Okay, so I will do that. So Daddy English, congratulations.
Yes.
We'll give it to Daddy English. So Daddy English, you are the winner. I will send you a link just because I don't think it's a game. Amnon's not a platformer guy. He likes to enter the
definitely not a platformer.
So congratulations, Daddy English. I will send you a link to be able to redeem that, and it should be in your Twitch messages under Other.
Yes.
So look under Other, but that'll be in the next 10 minutes or so. You should have that message there.
Absolutely.
So, congratulations.
Yes.
And we'll do another giveaway here towards the end of the show.
Yep, right here. And actually, we're probably not too long here. All right. One more quick thing with H1Z1, and then we'll move on. I mentioned, I think last week, the week before, I read through all of the gun changes that they were doing for all of the different. I read through most of the changes they were doing for all the different guns. And they've done a test server update 22 hours ago, so yesterday, to address some of those things a little bit more. They've restored horizontal recoil, which people wanted initially. They introduced it. People hated it. They got rid of it. People want it now. They're bringing it back. It's just this constant back and forth cat and mouse game that they play. So they brought that back, and they brought that back for the two guns, the two main guns that people are using, the AR-15 and the AK-47. So for the AR-15, the recoil mode has been changed and will now feature horizontal only recoil while tapping. If a user begins to spam, hold down the button, vertical recoil will kick in and combat spray. So when you tap, you'll just have horizontal back and forth recoil, no up and down, no vertical recoil. And then with the AK-47, the recoil model for the single fire mode has been changed to match the old recoil model of the last iteration of the AR-15, and it will now have a shallow V pattern while tapping, and then the direction of the kick is still random, but it'll have that little bit of a V pattern. The refire and reset timers have been reduced to match those of the AR-15, and the above changes also help smooth out recoil in the full auto mode, slightly increasing the gun's usefulness when the fire mode is selected. So when you're spamming it, it's a little more useful.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's kind of a big, I guess a big thing. I don't know if it's a big thing or not, but they're constantly doing back and forth back and forth with this stuff.
They just need to figure out. I don't know. I don't like it when games change a lot. Like here, it's this way one month, and the next month it's different. And so I think they just need to figure out, like, here's what our game is going to be, and stick with it. And the part of the problem is it was one way originally, and then they changed it. You know, and enough people complained, and they put it back. Like, they just need to figure out, like, which one are we going to do? Because that's got to be frustrating, especially for the competitive players, because they learn to master it in one way. And then you're like, oh, we're going to change how it shoots. And so then all of a sudden you're kind of back with all the normal people, right?
But yeah, well, that's a problem. I mean, you look at a game like Overwatch, extremely successful competitively. I mean, they just had the big Overwatch League this weekend on Twitch. Very successful. Why is it very successful? Because it's very consistent. I mean, you can make the same argument about Activision and their Call of Duty esports, or CSGO with their esports, or League of Legends, or Dota, or any of these other games. What do they all have in common? They're not all shooters. It's that they are consistent. They're consistent. You play it. You play the same hero every time in League. Unless they do a patch, the hero acts the same way every time. 100% of the time, the hero is going to react the same way. And that's what H1Z1.
Well, and that's the thing is that's what they need to do, and that's the thing is CS:GO, all these games, incredibly consistent. Like, people learn to take advantage of how that game plays.
No, absolutely.
You know, when people are sitting there and guessing, like, they know someone might come around that corner because they hear a sound, that right sound at that exact moment, or they shoot into this corner, or they throw a grenade. Even in CS and Call of Duty, throwing a grenade in a certain spot because, you know, usually there's someone there. Like, you learn those things and you play the game, you know, and you get those extra kills, and you become the better player because you know all those little tricks. You know, with this game, it's hard to know all the little tricks because they're constantly changing everything. They're changing the map. They're changing the way guns shoot. They're changing the mechanics of everything. Like, nothing is ever consistent long enough. And so that's just got to be frustrating for someone who's trying to be competitive in this game. And I think that's why a lot of people walked away. A lot of the competitive people said, you know what, I'm not going to play this game anymore.
Yeah,
I don't know that they're going to get that much better of an experience with PUBG. You know, maybe they will, as long as they don't go drastically changing mechanics in PUBG.
No, and I don't see them drastically changing mechanics in PUBG, but PUBG's got the issue right now with hackers. I mean, Ross, who was constantly playing this game, posted in chat a little while ago how I don't play PUBG anymore because it is rampant with hackers. And I mean, it's tough. I mean, I didn't play enough this weekend to make a argument for or against I'm obviously not for or against hacking, but if hacking was destroying the game, I don't play enough to make that determination. But there's a couple of people in our Discord that play this game enough, and I respect their opinion because they play the game more than I do. And when somebody like Ross, who I know very well, I talk to him all the time. He texted me today and was telling me was talking about some stuff. When he says I'm not playing the game because of hackers, I take that as valid feedback. He's not one of these people that just goes and bitches on Reddit when they change one thing. I take that as valid feedback. So he's not the only one.
Well, and these games, I mean, that's part of the frustrating thing is they almost need to create a tier of validated, or, you know, we know that these are trusted gamers, right? Because it's so frustrating going into a lot of these games when you play and you're like, I just feel like there's people that are cheating in the game, and they can make such a drastic difference on the outcome of the game by cheating. You know, I mean, getting these ridiculous 20, 30 plus kills per game, shooting you from ridiculous distances. It's like they almost need to have here's a trusted player. You know, they have the ability to play on certain servers in the trusted tier. And if you have somebody who it's questionable, like people downvote them enough or something, they go to kind of a more public set of maps that, you know, you can work your way out of by not having questionable playing mechanics, right? Or playing things. So I don't know. They've got to come up with something else, because there's no way for them to really control the hackers, I don't think.
No.
I think they almost have to create different playgrounds for the two, which I know some games have done.
Well, speaking of that, PH just posted a great link in the chat. Great link. So Tansient, the Chinese publisher. They're publishing the mobile game, and eventually they're going to be publishing the Chinese version of PUBG. They, in conjunction with the Chinese police, have uncovered 30 cases of hacking or cheating in the game and have arrested 120 people linked to an underground cheat maker or underground cheating ring. The people that are making the cheats.
It's a big money-making business.
So I don't like to get political, and I'm not going to get political, but this retrospectively, these people are cheating online, and the police came to their house and arrested them. So the next time that you're bitching and complaining about your life or whatever, just in general, this is a very good reflection moment. That there are some people in China right now that have been arrested over making a hack in a video game. So just retrospectively think about that when you're complaining about something later on tonight or tomorrow. That's crazy. That is insane, Brian. People were literally arrested. 120 people for cheating. Could you imagine if in the U.S. they were rounding people up with lassos over piracy? I mean, this is the comparison.
There was a period of time when they were doing that with music. I mean, look at the 90s.
Yeah, but until they started arresting like
late 90s.
56-year-old librarians at schools, and the police had to say, okay, this is not going to work. We can't do this.
Yeah, but I don't think China's so concerned with that.
No, they're not.
I think they're willing to arrest the grandmother. So
Kramit says he literally just got banned from PUBG. I don't know if he's being facetious or not. Yeah. By the way, we're selling cans in the chat. 100 cans for $14.99. You can just send the money directly to Locklore. He'll hook you up. So he was not. Kramit, if you have a chance, I would love to hear what you got banned, or what the reason you got banned for. If we don't get to it today, we'll cover it. I'll talk to him over the week and maybe do a little interview and see why he got banned for, as PH says, a Chinese scumbag for cheating in game. But yeah, that's H1Z1 and
well, that's one thing on here. The cheat vendor is telling people, maintain control and keep your kills within 15 per game. So they're saying don't go recklessly, getting 45 kill games, like keep it under control.
Keep it realistic.
Yeah, they're trying to say, win the games, but don't just fly around killing everybody. Kill the people that come up to you. Keep it in 15 people per game kills, so that you're actually similar to what the top players that are actually playing legitimately maybe you're getting.
So Kramit is saying he came back from a trip. It said if he tried to log into his account, it said it was going to knock somebody else off that was playing, obviously indicating his account was hacked. He resecured the account, put in a ticket with Bluehole, next day banned. So it appears his account was hacked.
Somebody got into his account,
used it to cheat, and then got banned, which is quite common.
Now, is that his whole Steam account? Because this is at a Steam level authentication.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that all is, but that's not surprising to me.
Because I don't think
they would ban for that.
So one thing that I would definitely recommend is doing the two-step authentication.
Huge pain in the ass, but totally worth it.
But that it's the thing. I've got one. Here's one for WoW.
You have an actual chip. That's awesome.
Yeah, here's an authenticator for WoW. I've got them also for Star Wars: The Old Republic. I don't know
why.
Because back when it came out, it was a
the cool thing was to have your keychain full of token fobs.
This is before all of the mobile apps that they had. Now you can get a mobile app which has a nice two-step authentication. They didn't offer that back then. And so this is era 1990 or 2005ish.
So funny,
2006.
Funny, kind of somewhat related story. My father works for New York State, and he is an administrator for a lot of the banking in the state. So he was working from home when I was up in New York, and I went downstairs. He was working in the office downstairs, and I walked down there. And I walked into his office, and sitting on his desk was a keychain with 16 different fobs on it from all of these banks. And I was like, this is the biggest waste of time in the world. I was like, it's 2017. And you can see the Key Bank, Citizens Bank, all these local banks, and the I can't think of the Bank of America and all these other banks, all on these key fobs, all with their own little individual things. And I was like, gee, this is insane. and that's what it was.
Well, I mean, this is the thing is back then, accounts were worth money.
Yeah.
Like this is an account that had 5 max level characters in it, you know, however much gold that sold for a decent amount, bunch of gear that you could sell. And so
does it still work?
Hackers would, yeah, still works.
Okay. So I've got to
I
ask
have to use it for anything Blizzard.
I don't actually know this. I'll ask you if you can give us a quick explanation. Do they have it? Obviously that thing isn't actually connected to anything, but they've got that algorithm running on a server that they check.
Yep. So they just know that if I press this button at any one moment, if I press it right now, the algorithm will say that this certain set of numbers comes up. So it's sitting there. So it has to maintain, I mean, it's got power on it that's lasted this long, right? And it just knows that any moment that I push it, it runs the algorithm from, you know, whatever time it starts from, and it gives me the numbers that it pops out.
And then the server also runs that
never
same,
gets updated.
And the server runs that same
it just
algorithm?
knows. Yep, it just knows that this key, when you press it, will always come, you know, will come up with that set of numbers, and it doesn't get updated. There's no way to update it. Like there's no way to replace the battery.
It's not hooked up to Bluetooth.
Nope. It's just its own little device.
They're actually very neat. They're actually.
I'm surprised it still works.
Well, it's a cool concept. Well, and the thing is, it's probably expensive to maintain because they're maintaining that algorithm, not just like one instance of that algorithm. They've probably got tens of thousands of those algorithms
tons
standing
and tons
by.
of these little key fobs.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think your mobile app runs in a very similar manner. But the thing is your mobile app, you have the ability to redo it. Like you can drop the key. You know, you can drop the app and you can re-add it and have it give you a new set of numbers. With this, like, there's not a lot I can do. Like I can press the button or I can not press the button. You know, it's going to come up with the same thing. So
let's see what my, see, it's interesting enough on the authenticator, the Blizzard Authenticator app, you don't even put in a code. When you log in on the phone, it just says, right now it says no logins requested, play some games. So if I try to log in on an account I don't use, it will just pop up and say allow or decline essentially. But this is similar concept.
And they actually just put out a patch and to where they're giving a perk. They're really wanting you to also do the SMS authentication. So to where it text you whenever someone logs in.
Interesting.
And so they're starting to give in-game perks, Blizzard is, for having not only a dual step authentication on there, but also the SMS notification enabled as well. So they're really pushing for that, so that even if someone's able to log into your account somehow, that you'll at least get a notification of it on your phone as well. I think you should do all those, because I mean, I had my account hacked back in 2005, and it's a pain. Like Blizzard really takes it seriously. They will have you send them a copy of your driver's license and all this stuff. Like they don't just say over the phone, "Oh, it sounds like you. We'll give it to you." They actually make you go through all the hoops.
There you go.
So,
no joke.
All right. So, do you have a preference on where we go after this?
No, sir. Wherever you'd like to take us on this winding road.
All right.
As we wrap up the program.
So let's do the Rust one, because there's some pretty cool stuff in this Rust video that I think we can make some comments on afterwards. So let's go and do the Rust video, and then we can give a little input on it after that. And then there's one other topic, the one that I'm highlighting right now, that we can probably end it up with.
Okay. So here we go. This is what number is this devblog? This is 193.
193.
There we go. Rust devblog 193. Of course, from our friend Shadowfrax. You can check out his YouTube channel, youtube.com. Search Shadowfrax, SHADOWFRAX.
Greetings, survivors and friends. Shadowfrax here with the Rust update, and if you've ever fancied the idea of remotely barbecuing a pack of wolf burgers, then have I got good news for you, because it's that magical time again, the time when Uncle Helk plucks some low-hanging fruit from the branches of
Concept Limbo.
Because after having been on the back burner for many months, we finally get those fire arrows. this is the lowdown. At first, you'll have to find them in loot somewhere and research them at a cost of 20 scrap. They're a level 1 workbench item and crafting costs 20 wood, 10 cloth and 10 low grade per 2 of them. Now I know the first thing you're going to do with these, apart from reenacting scenes from Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, is to try to raid wooden structures, but whilst they do some damage to them on impact, the fireballs bounce off instead of sticking and have been set to not do any damage to structures themselves at the moment. They're much deadlier when used against players and animals though, dealing 20 fire splash damage in a 2-meter radius of wherever they land, which makes targets a lot easier to hit, when you can see where you're aiming, that is. Although I must point out this is just a first pass at these, the visual effects aren't final, and the plan is soon for them to have to be lit before use, which means either dipping the end in a campfire or getting a mate to give you a light. Until then, they just magically ignite when deployed. A bit like torches. Oh, and it's worth mentioning that they're destroyed on impact, so unlike other types, they appear to be one use only. Sorry about that. You should expect a few more changes to these in the next update, so hold fire on any criticism until then. But that's not all, because at no extra cost this week, you also get bone arrows. These are a default blueprint, can be crafted anywhere at a cost of 25 wood and 10 bone frags for a pack of 2, and although they travel slightly slower and do less damage, thanks to their bounding box being 3 times larger than a normal arrow, it's far easier to hit someone with them, or far harder for them to dodge out of the way, depending on how you look at it. You'll also notice that HV arrows have a new look this patch, but apart from that, the stats appear to be the same. Now, at the moment, in a push to get Rust into a state where it can leave early access, efforts are being made to make the game friendlier to new players, including hints to help prevent them from making certain common mistakes, such as trying to harvest stone from something that isn't a node using a hammer, and talking to other players. And so it's with this in mind that a big change to key locks happened this week that'll hopefully make the game less frustrating for idiots, I mean new players, and cut out any of that dastardly learning from experience process. Now the person who placed the lock will no longer need a key with them to use it. I mean, they still need to make one to lock it in the first place, but they can just throw it away or eat it afterwards. It doesn't matter. Guests will still need one though, but that's fine. The person who placed the lock can make spares. As well as this, Helk increased the number of possible lock combinations to 1 million, so key raiding probably won't ever happen again. These changes also mean no more locking yourself out of your base or having to stash a key somewhere outside. So what's the point in making code locks, I hear some of you say? Well, they still are a step up in that codes are a lot easier to work with for guests, you don't have to remove the lock to change them, and it's not just one player holding all the privileges. But what do you think? Is this a good change, or does it take some of the fun out of screwing up? Let me know in the comments. Something else that's being worked on for building actually harks back to a long time ago when damaged blocks would get darker the less health they had. This visual progression helped identify possible weak points without having to get up close and personal or whipping your hammer out. As you can see demonstrated here on this medieval Borg cube, this effect should be more pleasing to look at than just a simple darkening of blocks when implemented. Stay tuned and I'll let you know when this happens. Over to the environment now, and some adjustments to fog and wind mean that conditions will change randomly every 18 hours, with foggy weather reaching maximum P super over a 6-hour period. So Britain, basically. And during clear weather, the atmospheric haze will be completely gone, meaning much better visibility and the world looking less washed out all the time. So, not Britain. In addition to this, the fog algorithm was improved to eliminate unfair advantages from being in a different biome or at a different altitude to other players. It should now appear the same density for everyone. Some night improvements were made, because that is your favourite time after all. Now, stars will be more visible again and the sky is darker at midnight to reduce the contrast between ground and sky. Yay. Last week I showed you the new Douglas fir model that was being worked on in an attempt to improve our forests, and this week we have another in the shape of some new pines. They're pretty similar to the old ones, but should be cheaper to render and thus better for performance, and thanks to some changes to shaders, should appear more volumetric and less blocky than the old ones. Junk piles were sometimes spawning in odd locations, and thanks to this bit that they have underneath them, could end up looking like a school project sometimes, especially when next to a road. This shouldn't happen now, and they should look more connected to the terrain underneath. Also, the final art for the tool crate was implemented this week. That's the purple box, in case you didn't know. Now you'll see these jobbies in its place, and they should be fairly easy to spot thanks to the yellow post it. In optimizations now, and checking for whether the player is near a cupboard was a job that was shifted this week more onto the server rather than the client, as this was a significant overhead that could be avoided. Also, some server code was optimized which ended up eliminating about 3 milliseconds per frame in tests, which is actually a pretty good result. There was an exploit fix too, where some sneaky players discovered that Christmas lights could be made to float in place if the twig they were attached to was destroyed. Apart from the obvious artistic application, this could also lead to sky bridges, so sadly this loophole has been closed. Over to works in progress now, and pants! And by that I mean the British type that we wear under our trousers, which people across the pond like to call pants. Confused? Good. So this is something that's being worked on as an alternative to pixelation. It'll just be an extra option, not a complete replacement, so don't worry. You see, this is something designed mainly to help YouTubers and streamers whose videos are getting flagged for nudity, even though they have censorship turned on. Sadly, the algorithms that are designed to catch actual nudity can't always tell the difference. They just detect a human shape, and if it's all one colour, then they assume the worst. It's not in yet, there's still some fitting to do, and there's no guarantee it'll solve the issue as far as YouTube is concerned, but it's worth a shot. More work on admire animations was done to bring them all up to the same quality, as many of them in the last pass were just placeholder. Here are some of the updates so far. Third-person deploy sounds continue to be added, with only a few more left to tick off, mainly for items that are thrown, and some of the view models have been receiving a tweak to make the animations snappier, with new smoke sprites and effects to add that extra oomph. Scientists are not quite ready to conduct their experiments just yet. There's still some tweaking to do, but I noticed they do now have a new suit and different loot. You should expect to see them wearing blue when they arrive, and the loot they drop at the moment seems to be more geared towards components than anything high-end, but this could all change. In other news, Gary seems to be working on a separate branch of the game called Staging 2, and this is something that's a step towards leaving early access, because it means that people will be able to have two versions of the game, main and staging, installed on Steam at the same time, making it easier to test out new features. The commits log seems to show work has started on the CH-47, which means the Chinook event is on the horizon, which I mentioned in my recent video on the roadmap. This will basically be an airdrop on steroids, where a locked crate will be delivered to a rat town and will need to be defended for a period before it can be accessed. And a new water well mini monument's in the works, although no visuals on this just yet. Lastly, an addendum to the blog this week was posted, which addresses the recent downtime on official servers and why not a lot's been said about it by Facepunch, as that has been something that a lot of you have been concerned about. I'll leave a link to it in the description for you to read if it's something that interests you, as it does help explain what's been going on. Right, you're up to date now, and if you appreciated this vid, then please leave a like and sub to the channel. Pop over to Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and my Steam group too, and I shall catch you all soon, but in the meantime, keep calm and stay rusty. Cheerio.
All right, well, that is, of course, an update from Shadow Frax, and we thank him for that.
Yeah, the main thing I wanted to make a comment on there is he had mentioned in the middle about trying to make the game a little bit friendlier for new people.
Yes,
that's something they really struggle with. They'd mentioned they're changing how the locks work and codes, so that people are less likely to make the stupid newbie mistakes of not locking a door correctly, or leaving a door open for too long, because that seems to be what a lot of the more seasoned players try to take advantage of, is someone having a delay and closing the door again. And so they're trying to come up with a little bit better system so that that's not like one of the primary reasons, because it's definitely something that drives you away from the game when you're new, you're still trying to figure it out. And then, they're taking advantage of every little trick just to try to destroy your time that you're having playing the game. So,
no, absolutely.
So yeah, we'll see.
We'll get into the current players. A whole bunch of people play this game, even though it's not my cup of tea. It's not your cup of tea. Whole bunch of people play. Yep.
They want to be able to allow people. I mean, obviously they're trying to get people to where they can stream it and keep the popularity up, because, if people can't stream it on Twitch because they get banned, people can't put it on YouTube because they get flagged, that there's going to be less interest. But also, I think that people will find new ways to troll, even if they take away this one thing. I think that people will take away, people will find another way to troll people. There will always be something new that you can torment new people with. I just think they want to take out the silly code thing, because I've seen so many videos of people sneaking into buildings and just, people not realizing that they're in there. I mean, it happened to us. I think last time we played,
Yes.
people were getting into our building.
We had no idea.
Yep, and whatever. But it'll be interesting to see a year from now where this game is, like what they're doing, because there's always kind of constant progress on this, but I don't know where it's going. So it'll be interesting to see in a year.
According to
where it actually is.
According to Shadowfrax's expert knowledge in the game, that second branch that Gary's working on may indicate that a move out of early access is which makes sense. They need to follow suit with Arc. And transition out of that early access. Plus, Gary's working on.
I mean, they know what the game is. They know what their game is trying to be. I mean, or they know what it's going to be. Like it's not a mystery. And I think that they're close enough. I mean, it's a fairly reliable game, and it's got its own player base that enjoy playing it in its way. So I think they just release it for what it is, and it'd be interesting to see where this new game comes out.
Absolutely.
So, how it'll be different, and maybe it'll pull a different player base. So, all right. So, do we want to do the game giveaway announcement right now and then do this last one, or do you want?
Sure.
We can give people more time.
Sure. Absolutely.
All right. So let's go ahead and we'll do another 30 points. It takes me a little longer to type this in here. Another 30 points, exclamation point giveaway on this way is one as well. And this will be a copy of Tomb Raider. So this is the original Tomb Raider of the newer ones.
Oh, cool.
Has excellent. This one has excellent ratings. So extremely positive on Steam, and it's a game that I played the second one in, and this has very similar game mechanics. But this is overwhelmingly positive for recent and for all reviews. So incredibly well received game by the public. So if you haven't played this, if you don't have a copy of this, I encourage you to really to go for this one, because this is the one that, having played the latest one, I don't know if maybe there's one that came out after it, but the game was a lot of fun. The mechanics work perfectly, especially if you have a controller. This is a game that would play very, very well on a controller. Once again, the Steam Link that I keep talking about, this is a game that would play perfectly on a Steam Link if you have one of those. So, because it's one that was made for console, it was made for PC, but it works perfectly with a controller. It was made for a controller, I think, originally, but they just did a really good job of also working with a mouse and keyboard. So, Tomb Raider, as you can see, overwhelmingly positive. Not very many games over this period of time can actually maintain that rating, and they've done it with this one. It's got a really good story, and a lot of stuff to do in it. So,
well,
exclamation point giveaway.
If you're not tuning in live, you are missing out. We're live here every Tuesday evening, every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, here on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Infection Podcast. Streaming in the IRL category tonight. We've been browsing IRL the past couple days in Discord late at night. And if that stuff's allowed in IRL, this is close enough to IRL. So there you go. Yep. Streaming the IRL category tonight. Hopefully, don't ban us, Twitch, please.
We were talking in real life.
I guess. So there you go. That's that. Enter exclamation point giveaway.
I think our pre-show and our post-show definitely qualify for IRL.
I think the whole show qualifies for IRL. I mean, I saw some screwed up stuff on IRL this week. Some scarring images. And I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. I'll talk after the show about it. So see, and if you're missing out on the pre and post show, Brian was talking about having his thoughts die in the pre-show. You really missed out on a whole bunch of stuff. So you're missing out if you're not tuning in live.
Yes, definitely do it. And of course, you will never know if you don't tune in live.
Oh, jeez.
There's a callback, right?
Yeah. I got it, Brian. All right. I got it. Move on. Let's go.
All right. So I wanted to give an update for Dead Matter. They actually put out, first of all, they put out their diary number 6, which shows some of the new textures that they're implementing into the games, weapons that they're putting in there, dual barrel shotgun. On there, they just mainly have some screenshots showing some of the foliage, the rocks that they're putting in there, a camper that they're working on, and then some of the environment textures for like dirt road. They have a nice double-barreled shotgun they've finished texturing. And then after that, he gave another update separately. And this actually talks about an announcement that there's going to be a delay. This is something that I think I said it on the show.
Is it in the book?
I don't.
It's not in the book.
No, it wasn't like a true prediction, but I think I said I don't think that they can release in this period of time. I don't remember if I said it publicly.
Or have you
I
thought
know
it
I
to
said it in
yourself?
Discord. No, I know I said it in Discord, but
Did I tell my wife
to
over
release the-
dinner that this was
but
not possible?
I said I don't know how they can go from their concept to
I remember you saying this.
releasing in now.
Yeah.
Because they said that they would release now.
We've talked about this.
And I said that I don't think there's a way possible that they can release in that amount of time. So here's an announcement that says they're going to be pushing out their closed alpha. So that is the non-public, based on Kickstarter supporters, out to January 16th of 2018. So, right? I think that's, or no, sorry, of 2019. So, or sorry, Q4 of 2018. So the end of this year. So it'll be about almost 12 months that they're going to be pushing out the closed alpha release. So, which makes a lot more sense. I mean, I know where they had a lot of Unreal Marketplace assets. So that they're just, with the amount that they were using from that, I don't know how they could have made everything and actually make a 3-month release date that they were talking about. So this makes a lot more sense. Gives them a year to actually create assets, because I think they're finding it takes a lot longer to create all these things and put it all together than they were expecting. Because they previously had done a mod. A mod, you can just take the pieces and kind of put them in the pre-existing. It's a little bit different when you're creating everything from scratch. So this will be Q4 of 2018. So, towards the end of this year, they'll be pushing that out, and then that'll be the initial closed alpha. So the people that support it on Kickstarter will get their copies then. That will then begin the alpha tests. So,
All right.
Yep.
Well,
very good.
Another quick note.
So I mean,
here.
I'd rather have a better game. I mean, I'd rather have them push it out.
Of course.
I'm not one of those say I'm mad. You need to release it when you said. If they can't release a product that's worth what I paid, supporting it in Kickstarter, and if they know they can't, then push it out to where they're, it's at a realistic date of when you can.
Well, and I think this is, I don't think this is ever done with ill intention at the beginning, but this I think is a good lesson. And I'm not singling these guys out, but I'm just saying in general, a good lesson for not setting up yourself to fail. Of course, take risks and be, take a risk. There's nothing wrong with taking a risk, but just being a little more hesitant on what you announce publicly, especially with dates. I mean, we've seen this over and over. I mean, Ark with this last freaking DLC was what, a month and a half late, just incredibly late, which is just it's stupid. You look stupid when you have to delay and delay and delay and delay, like Ark had to do with their most recent thing. So soon to it. So close to the launch. If you remember, Rockstar did this with the new Red Dead, but they delayed it like 8 months before it was supposed to come out. So it's a different story, and it's just a lesson for.
Well, I think people go into Kickstarters somewhat naive of realistic timeframes. They're thinking, oh yeah, a year, I can do this in a year.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a lot of delays. There's going to be a lot of things that don't happen in the way you think they're going to happen. Everything's going to take longer than you expect. It's going to cost more money than you probably expected it to. And they're probably, you go into Kickstarter with everything's going to work out how I expect it to, and then we'll release on time. And I think I don't know of any Kickstarter projects that have actually released on time. I mean, I can't think of any that came out exactly as expected. None that I've kickstarted, at least.
I kickstarted something. I can't find it though. Damn it. I can't find it. I kickstarted this thing years ago, and I just did it more as a kind of a little thing. It's a USB plug-in that shows the tells you the power output of the USB port you're plugging something into, and it's got a USB pass-through on it. So if you plug it into your computer, you get like two.
You can see what I would actually charge a device at, things like that.
It doesn't show you the exact. Looks like cell phone bars. It's got 4 bars, and I've got the little book for it. The bar tells you pretty much how much power it is, but you plug it into the computer, it's 2. You plug it into the wall, it's like 4 or whatever. I bought it because I bought it probably 6 years ago. That came out on time, but I've never bought a game or anything like that, which is a little bit.
I mean, I've done a number of games, and they're always delayed by a decent amount. And with this, he's saying it now. I mean, I guess they did say that they were going to be releasing in January, so he's kind of doing it at the last minute. But on here he did bring up, like Red Dead was delayed, and all these other games were delayed, and they don't want to be like that. I don't know. Like he's already passed. Didn't they say January of 2018 was when they were going to be their initial alpha
For Dead Matter or for Red Dead?
For Dead Matter.
I don't remember exactly. But that's something like that.
Yeah, I think it was about then. So
close enough.
At least he's saying it rather than just putting it off, and having people start to rage. But a year, that's a significant amount of time. When you said originally it's going to be 3 months.
Yes.
That's a year past the 3 months. So whatever. I mean, I'm not, as I said, I'm not upset. I kind of knew starting from the get-go that wasn't a realistic date. I mean, if somehow they pulled it off,
it's impressive.
Great. But yeah, it wasn't a realistic date, and that shows me at least he's not just churning out a product. Like he's realizing, to actually make this, I'm going to have to do it this way, and it's going to take me this amount of time, rather than saying, all right, well, let's just throw out whatever we have at 3 months in and say we met our obligation. So, it's going to take him a year to get what he thought could do in 3 months.
There you go.
So
you heard it here first.
Very good. All right. So, one thing, make sure people remember, we're doing Tabletop Simulator for this game of the week. If people do you want to have people give suggestions of games in Tabletop Simulator?
Yes, you can do so.
Put them in Discord.
Yeah, we've got a board game channel in Discord, so if you want to post something in there, let us know. Something else to note
Try playtesting it first, though, just to make sure that the game that you choose works.
And similarly to what we do for Game of the Week, if you recommend a game, please be, especially with a board game, if it's a game that's maybe a little more obscure, please be willing to GM it.
Yeah, explain the rules, explain how the process works.
Yeah, be the game master for it, so that Saul picks up on these really quick. So if we don't know, Saul typically can look at the rule book quickly and figure it out. But nevertheless, if you're recommending a game, do a little research and be able to be the GM, so that we don't have to sit and read through the rule book and argue about conflicts when they come up and stuff like that. So we got that. Now the other thing too, Brian, which I do want to mention really quick, which we'll hopefully be jumping into Saturday and Sunday, is that the first open beta weekend for the Darwin Project is this weekend as well.
Yes.
We would have done this for Game of the Week if they'd given us a little more time, but they announced this before last week's show, or after last week's show. So we'll do this. We'll do this for Game of the Week. We'll probably do it for Game of the Week next week officially.
Yeah.
So what we got here is it's January 19th. Starting at noon. This is the first one they're doing. So it's starting January 19th at noon Pacific, and it is ending at the January 21st, Sunday at 9 p.m. Pacific time. So on the East Coast.
So this is the only game of the week. This would be the only weekend. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll play.
Maybe play it on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll play it on Saturday or whatever. And they'll do it. They'll do other ones of these. This is going to be the first one. So if you're around this weekend. The only reason I'm not going to say it officially is I don't know if I'm going to be here for Friday. So I don't want to be hosting the Game of the Week and not be there. So
yep.
It's going to be available this weekend. Again, Project Darwin, the Darwin Project. if you're interested in this, you can check out Brian interviewed the developers for this at PAX. They were very gracious with their time. They bumped somebody. We bumped somebody. You, Brian, bumped somebody standing in line to play. And because I mean, sorry folks, I hate to be a realist here. We're kind of a big deal. So you can check out that PAX video. It's on our YouTube channel. Just search Darwin Project on our channel. You'll find that. And we'll be playing that hopefully Saturday and Sunday. So you can preload it on Steam. There'll be a link in the show notes. It's scavengers.ca, or on Steam search for Darwin Project, and it's the Darwin Project Open Beta. So there she is.
It is a fun game.
Very fun.
Fairly quick game, so it'll be interesting to see how it handles scaling with all those people.
Absolutely, I'm excited for it.
All right, so let's go ahead and we'll just in passing. There's an update to the map in Fortnite, so we'll have a link to that if people want to go check out some of the new locations and just some of the updates to the map. We have an article on there, and it has a screenshot side by side showing the overhead view of the two. And you can maybe print that out, keep it up on your wall if you love that game. Elite Dangerous, I have a link in there. I've actually been watching a video that's a series that they're doing that's going to cover a lot of the upcoming on what they're calling Beyond, which is going to be the free update that's coming out, kind of like the part 3 free update. And they'll have a lot of things. So I have a link on there. We can wait on talking about it because this is just going to be the first in a series of updates for this. So I watched the first one with announcements that they did today, but they're going to be over the next week, like each day announcing new things. So we can come back and talk about it when they have the full list of notes out there next week. And then Life is Feudal has, and this is for the MMO, has a number of updates that they put out, mainly fixes. We don't have to go over them, but if you're playing Life is Feudal, they have 3 different patches they did in this past week. So we'll have links to each of those. You can go check them out. So I think that's pretty much mainly all the game news.
Yes, and we will we may cover that stuff next week. If you want to cover those Life is Feudal things, unfortunately we're out of time here. Running up into the clock here as you know, we're on a hard time here with all of our affiliates that carry the show. So we're running up against running up against the clock. Yeah. You got anything before I jump into current players here?
No, I don't think so. Just make sure if you're interested in playing Tabletop Simulator, come join our Discord. First of all of our games of the week, we jump into Discord. So if for some reason up to this point we haven't convinced you to get into Discord, this is the day. And just click the link and join our Discord because we have a lot of entertaining things going through there all week. And
let me say, for people to think, oh, you keep promoting Discord, everybody that wants to play, everybody that wants to join is already joined. There are new people joining every week that have been listening to the podcast for many I mean, there's some people that have literally listened to it since the beginning that are just joining Discord. Say, oh, hey, I was a lurker, now I'm joining the Discord. It's happened. I'm not just blowing smoke up. I'm not lying. That has happened from time to time. So that's why we continue.
So I definitely encourage you, just if you're like, I don't use Discord for anything else, it's a really easy app. You don't have to have it running all the time. Just give it a shot. And of course, Nick will ask you, how'd you find the show?
Yep.
So just join it because first of all, Tabletop Simulator is a fun game. Whatever game we play, we have a blast doing it. So
and you
definitely would be a good one to start playing with us.
And you can guarantee Uno will be played at some point, which is for people.
And you will not realize how much you enjoy Uno until you join us.
It's the most rage-inducing game in the world, especially with the people on Discord, because I always end up sitting next to Brian somehow, and Brian always ends up screwing me over and over and over and over again. It's the same thing every time. So we really enjoy that.
Sorry.
And, you're not sorry. You're full of shit. All right.
Well, that's a different game.
Well, what game?
Sorry.
What other game? Jeez. Did you didn't play Sorry?
That was a board game joke.
Well, I'm sorry. You didn't play Sorry with us last time, so
no, I didn't.
No, you didn't. I played Battleship the other day with our good friend Sean. That was that was an interesting one. So lots of fun games on tabletops. Join us for that. All right, enough self-promotion BS. Let's get into current players. All right, where's my music? And there it is. All right, currently playing H1Z1 Just Survive. 1,436, the 24-hour peak 1,661, with a 7-day peak of the same thing, 1,661. 7-day peak right now with Just Survive. All right, moving on to King of the Kill. Currently playing this, 5,605, the 24-hour peak 14,168, with a 7-day peak 20,069. These numbers are down about 2,000 or so per category here, current 24 and 7-day for King of the Kill. Ark Survival Evolved still going strong, currently playing this, 42,982, the 24-hour peak 59,574, with a 7-day peak of 79,820. Talked about a little bit today. Rust, here it is. Currently playing Rust. A lot of people. I wasn't joking when I said a lot of people are playing this game. Currently playing Rust, 26,692, the 24-hour peak 41,758, with a 7-day peak of 58,054. And everybody's favorite, Player Unknown Battlegrounds. Currently playing this game, 610,068, a 24-hour peak. 24-hour peak, mind you. I'll say it again, 24-hour peak. 2,984,565. So 2.98 million is your 24-hour peak, and your 7-day peak 3,257,248. That is up about 90,000 7 days from last week. So they've added 90,000 on top of where it was last week to 3.25 million. So that's why I said don't use PUBG as a benchmark. It's a really, really, really bad benchmark to use. For retrospect, a little retrospective here. 12 months ago, Brian, you and I were freaking out on this show that Ark Survival Evolved broke 100,000 concurrent players. They hit 101,035. And not just us, the Ark team, and it's a big number. I'm not taking anything away from it, but this was a big deal for an early access game. 101,000 concurrent players. That was a lot, and that was just a year ago. And now we've got PUBG in here, early access. Well, the beta been out less than a year, pulling 3.2 million active concurrent players over a 7-day peak, and their 24-hour peak is literally 20,000, less than 20,000 players short of 3 million. It's insane. Yep. It's absolutely insane how successful this game has been.
Now, people are bringing up in chat Lawbreakers. Yesterday, the concurrent players for Lawbreakers was 22. The peak concurrent players.
Lawbreakers
22.
They had that huge thing at.
That was at PAX.
They had the arena. Yeah, a huge arena, a sign that was gigantic, covering the whole thing. But yeah, Lawbreakers. Yesterday peak was 22. The day before that's peak was 19. They had hit a period. I saw an article about it where they had 0 players at any one moment. So what's the name of this game again?
I mean, that's the crazy thing.
What
Lawbreakers?
Lawbreakers. I was drawing a blank. Trying to find a
picture. Look at their hourly.
Trying to find a picture at PAX.
I mean, they have periods of time where there's like 5 people playing. Like, how do you even play a game?
Yeah, damn it.
Doing that, I'm
not able to find this picture, unfortunately. Damn it. All right. Well, nevertheless,
it was the biggest. It was probably the biggest display, I think, at PAX, right? As far as like a sign above the whole thing. I don't remember there being anything that had that big of a display as Lawbreakers. And we never really heard of Lawbreakers. I didn't really hear Lawbreakers. I didn't really know anything about it. It was just one of those games.
So here's their massive esports stage arena. This is the side where they've got the competitive players on, but on the flip side of this wall, it was just a massive screen with a whole bunch of chairs where you could sit down and watch. This was right in the smack dab in the middle of the convention hall. This was a massive setup they had here. I mean, Brian, I'm sure this bring back some fun memories, but I mean, this was a huge. I mean, you would no matter where you were in the hall, you could see the Lawbreakers marquee, and
you could hear it.
Yeah, you could absolutely hear. People were going nuts. This is a super high. Look at how high resolution this image is. This is great. Yep. There's a good chance we're in this image somewhere. Let's see. Let's do a quick scan. Did we did we interview anybody from Lawbreakers?
No, I don't know.
I don't think we did.
No, we didn't.
Oh, look at there's Brian right here in the Pokemon hat.
Yeah, that's me. But this is the one where like Lawbreakers was. You just figured the streamers were talking about it because I'm sure they were being paid to talk about it, right? And it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna play Lawbreakers. Yep. But the second the PAX ended, like all interest dropped. And it's not like it's a horrible game. It's just it's trying to compete with a Blizzard game. And it can't. Like they're rather than create their own game, they're trying to be an Overwatch clone. And
correct.
They can't quite meet that. And so people just be like, well, I'm going to play Overwatch. They almost need to create their own game. And if it was free to play, like they'd have to have more people playing it. I don't know how they only have 8, 9, 10 people playing it at one time. That's just is crazy to me.
Yeah, it is pretty.
It's got like 90,000 owners. I think it's got 80,000 owners,
which is not great.
No, it's not great, but you figured you get more than 6 people playing it.
Yeah. So there you go. That was their setup at PAX East. I'm not joking. I think it was just as big as Twitch's area. For a little bit of comparison. Twitch's setup at PAX was similarly sized to Lawbreaker. I mean, they spent a fortune on this.
Twitch had maybe area, but they kind of had these closed off area where only certain streamers could go to. Yeah. Like it wasn't as like, oh, that's big. Like this, they made it look like this is the biggest game ever to be released.
Yeah, they spent a small fortune on this event. And they'll never do that again because this game
they've wasted a lot of money.
Well, waste. I don't know if I necessarily say the word waste. This is how you market. I'm sure the concept was we need to get this in front of. And you know what? To be honest with you, it did bring the game to people's attention. It didn't want to make them play it, but it did bring it to their attention. If we didn't see this at PAX Prime, we wouldn't know a damn thing about this game. No, I think I tried it once because we all got beta keys or early access. We got keys or something.
We played it. Yeah, we played it on a free weekend or whatever. Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't horrible. It's just. It wasn't as clear as Overwatch as far as like your objectives. There's not enough of a break between the different types of classes to be like, because visually there's a very big difference between classes, and even mechanics wise, there's a very big difference between classes on Overwatch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this, I don't think there's enough of a switch between the two to where you feel like, oh, we're gonna balance our classes by playing this. It's just everybody kind of plays whatever flies around and shoots each other. And it's just, there's not direction. I don't think, not a very clear direction. So I don't know. I don't think this game will ever come back.
Like, no, absolutely not.
I don't know why they're still holding on this much.
They're who's Nexton is the people that publish Combat Arms are.
Yeah, but this is a guy. I watched a documentary on this. It's like an individual guy who just wants to make a video game. And so he's throwing all this money into it. He got money from some other game or, something else. He has a lot of money. He's pretty much blowing it all on this. And from the documentary, you never know what kind of perspective there's, but he's like a big jerk.
Well, I don't know if you saw that documentary. I didn't see that. Here's an interesting thing, Brian. I didn't know this, obviously. This is their setup at PAX East 2016. So they had a massive booth at PAX East 2016 as well. Not quite as
so they've been pushing this thing every year.
Seems like the past 2 years. Not as elaborate as last year's. A little bit smaller. But a very large space. A very expensive venue.
I can't imagine them even bothering doing it at the next one.
I don't know. They may do PAX East again. They probably won't do PAX West, which is the one we're going to try to go to. But I mean, I guess interesting.
Whatever
you heard it here.
Whatever floats their boat.
Exactly. Hey, they want to throw the money. Not my problem.
All right, so let's go ahead and we'll do tip of the week, where either I give a general gaming tip or one that's specific. This week, since it's newly released, we'll do Life is Feudal MMO. So this is tip of the week. All right. So when you first get in the game in Life is Feudal, you'll want to first start picking up plants. They have these plant fibers that you can pick up. And that's one of the first things you can craft because you'll want to make shoes. The reason you make shoes is they have what they call a barefoot debuff. And that is if you're not wearing shoes, you get a debuff that affects your movement in the game. So if you can make a quick pair of shoes, you can go and actually run at normal speeds and not have that debuff on your character. And you should be able to get it pretty easily and quickly from the plant fibers that you can gather from around you. Also, just as a little bit of a tip for managing your inventory, if you use Alt left click, you can combine stacks. So hold down Alt and then left click items, and it will combine stacks together. And then if you hold down Control, that is a quick swap for containers. So that maybe you have a container open that you want to swap items from your inventory into that container. Just click Control when you click it, or hit Control, and when you're over it, and it will immediately transfer that item over to the container. So those are just some quick tips for Life is Feudal. This is an MMO that is not really a single player game. It's definitely one that is aimed towards having group play, playing with a guild. This is the MMO, so the whole point of it is playing with other people. But if you had Life is Feudal your own, you will have a license to be able to play Life is Feudal MMO. And this just came out recently, so if you haven't checked it out, I know we got Deacon who's been playing it quite a bit, but very big game, a lot of stuff into it, but definitely a grind. And so make sure you give yourself some time to get around it and get comfortable with the game. So that is tip of the week.
All righty. Thank you very much for that, Brian.
Very good.
All right, let's see.
All right. Is there anything else we want to cover before we roll on out of here?
No, I think we'll want to roll our giveaway here, and then we can roll on out.
All right. So this one actually does go to Amnon. So Amnon, he gets to win this one.
This is a good one.
This is a really good game. So we'll have to see if we can get him to get it installed on his computer.
I might be up his way this weekend, so maybe I can.
Cool.
Maybe I can get them all set up.
Well, I will. I'll give you. Yeah, I'll mail him the license key. But then when you're there, see if you can get it installed.
Mail him the license key. Print it out on a piece of paper and put it in the mail and send it to him. That's the only way.
FedEx it to him.
Honest to God, that's the only way he'll ever do it. Brian, put it in the mail and have your wife bring it to the post office.
I'll do that for you.
Yeah, just.
But congratulations, Amnon or Nissan Communications, as we know him in chat. Very good friend of ours. So, and this is an excellent game. This is one of the highest rated games. Yeah. Very, very good game to play. You should get him a controller because he probably would enjoy it more on a controller. So to play through it, and it would make it nice and easy.
I have a couple spare USB controllers I can bring.
Yeah, have him try it out because I think that would give him the best experience.
Brian, I got to say this. He just retired his last Windows XP machine that was in use. He switched it over to Windows 7.
Oh wow.
Still not up to date, but last XP computer. It was a great day.
See, I get frustrated with the Windows XP computers because like the Let's Encrypt certificate that you can get for free that really don't work on Windows XP. So
well, I mean,
these people complain, I can't check my email or I can't visit this website. What are you running? Windows XP? Okay. Yeah. Go get a new computer.
He has a serial joystick that is 22 years old that will unfortunately
that's not going to work. we don't want to use a serial joystick. If you have a serial plug on your computer still,
all of his computers still have serial on them, guaranteed.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right. Well, if you want to find me on the internet at Boise Computer on Twitter, of course, make sure you go check out our website. We have on there our Twitter account. We have our link to our Discord. We have our link to our audio and video formats of the show. If you want to find my personal blog, biteoftech.com, and hopefully we can really get you to come in and play this tabletop simulator. We will have a blast with it. It's one that I've encouraged people to play whenever we're doing, whenever they have the sales, go pick it up, because this is one of the most fun things I think that we do on whenever we go in there and play. It's a really good experience for everyone. So if you don't have it, if it's on sale, go grab it. Keep an eye on it for the upcoming spring sales. So maybe if you don't play this time, we do regularly play tabletop simulators. So make sure you go check it out. So thank you very much for listening. And hopefully I will be a little bit better and not so crippled next week and actually use a mouse. So Game Boys will be a little bit faster.
Crippled.
That's my goal.
Not to be crippled next week. That's a good goal.
Yeah, not to be quite as crippled.
Quick note: if you want to pay full price for Tabletop Simulator, buy it on Humble Bundle using our affiliate link, our code over at infectionpodcast.com, which is an affiliate link. Buy it over there. It's the same price as it is on Steam, except that helps us out a little bit. So you can do that, and we will see you. Brian, thank you very much. Thanks for doing all the prep on the show as usual, and feel better. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
All right. Of course, Brian said Friday night Tabletop Simulator. We're going to try to jump into the Darwin Project Saturday, Sunday, as they're doing their first open beta weekend. Even if we don't jump into it, download that and play. It's a lot of fun. It's Hunger Games. It's King of the Kill. It's all that kind of mixed into one with a live element with an announcer, a shoutcaster per se. It's a really, really cool concept, really cool game. So you can check that out this weekend and join us Friday night for Tabletop Simulator. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. You can visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. We'll see you next week at 7.